I said we're going to go into our mode of Tisha B Av, thoughts on Eov, Job, and some lessons for how we overcome disaster when we're crushed completely. And so I have an opening which is from appropriate of Tisha B Av, called Destruction of the First Temple and the Second Temple. Verdi's opera Nabucco, the Song of the Captives of Zion. Verdi in Italian, looking for the liberation of Italy from foreign invaders and carrying the theme through the story of Nabucco. Go ahead. Thank you. So it's it's really so beautiful. It's hard to feel that sad. It's a pace. It's a pace, a subtle pace. But now there's another opera that came out based on Eo, Job, an Italian opera by an Israeli composer. And so I have a trailer. This is a lead-in for that one. It's modern opera, so different style, different form completely. Got my team here, Abram and Isaac, and Nick Farr. Great working with you guys.
C'era una volta in terra di Uz un uomo brutale e retto. Alieno dal male temeva il creatore. Il suo nome era Giobbe.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was very much just to get us into this atmosphere of Tisha B Av, that kind of music, the kind of despair. You can see the imagery that this Israeli composer has put in here. So now what I wanted to do was now go and a little discussion on how do we respond when things go bad? And so Job is the classical example, but he's not the first human being to go through despair. So I go back and 1,000 years before Job's time, go to ancient Babylonia, and we find this piece of clay with writings on it. And it is 1700 before the year zero. So it's the time of Abraham and Isaac. Not this Abraham and Isaac, the first Abraham and Isaac. Our name is Ludl Belnemki, right? He's a guy who's suffering. He's suffering. I survived to the next year. Everything's being bad. I survived to the next year. Sounds like we're making it through the pandemic. I survived. And quite a time passed. And as they turned around, it was more and more terrible, right? So we got the shots. Now the thing is put the mask back on. That's the same feeling. My ill luck was on the increase. I could find no good fortune. I called to my God, but he did not show me his face. Not showing face, it's a biblical expression, right? It's 1,000 years before. I prayed to the goddess, but she did not raise her head. She did not raise her head, right? Said panim, lift up your countenance. See this term? It's a biblical term. And so the diviner didn't get to the bottom of it. The dream priest, he wanted a dream spirit and the incantation. Nothing helped. The gods are angry at me, no matter what I do, right? 1,000 years before Job. 1,000 years before Moses, well, 500 years before Moses, right? So very universal, the sense of the spirit. So how can we answer it? He has no answer. In that worldview, in the pagan worldview, the gods are all against us. Nothing good ever comes. You ask the Greeks, the gods are all against you. You're born, the gods are against you. That's the story of Oedipus. You did the right thing, the gods are against you. We go to ancient India, which gives us a different take on how we look at what we are suffering. Bhagavad Gita, that is the core sacred text of Hinduism, is out of the long text. Okay, this is the long text. I forgot my Hindu. All right, but we have this where the battle forces are arrayed against each other, and the head of one of the sides is in despair, and the god Krishna appears to him. And he says, you are mourning for what's not worthy of grief. They're all going to be dead at the end of the battle. There's no reason to cry. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when you did not exist, I did not exist, nor you. Now, all of these kings, in the future shall any of us cease to be. We're just going through this eternal recycling. Events just repeat themselves and repeat themselves. We just are repeating these events over and over again, like Groundhog Day. Literally, every day is Groundhog Day, over and over again. We're reborn, die and reborn, die and reborn. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes to another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. And we have it in Jewish source. We have Gilgul Nishamot. The Gilgul Nishamot, in the Jewish concept, you're moving to a destination. There's no clear destination. It's over and over and over. So all is illusion. All is the world of Maya. Right? There is no reality to anything that we're going through. So why cry?
In the time of Abraham before, the cities were not so big. Usually the clans were kind of small, but whenever they were in war between two clans, the residents, they would destroy everything and they took everything. So it seems that as the time went on, to the time of David, the same kind of reasoning was happening, except that the population grew significantly.
Yeah. Usually a conqueror really wouldn't want to destroy everybody. He wants people to work the fields. He wants business. He wants to conquer. So he doesn't want to wipe out. The Bible does do wiping out. So some of the not pleasant parts. The Romans wiped out complete enemies. That was their policy, but not the other. They would exile captive, build, use them, create alliances, give them benefits. It was not all wipe out, not necessarily. Wars got crueler as they got more advanced in some ways. We go to China, Buddha. I was in China 2 years ago. There's a beautiful big Buddha statue. It's a tourist attraction. The Chinese government put it up. It's not an ancient Buddha. They realized they could make good tourism money off of Buddha. So it's a beautiful, beautiful statue. So what's the story of Buddhism? The mother has a vision that her son would renounce this life because he would see suffering, he would see the aged, he would see the dead. And so she protects him from the day he was born. He should never see anyone suffer. And he becomes a young man, never having experienced suffering or seeing suffering in his life. He goes out, sneaks out of the city walls, and at first he sees an ill person, he sees a diseased person, he sees a poor person, he sees a dead body. Suddenly he recognizes that suffering is part of human existence. And in Buddhism, which takes off from Hinduism, the only solution to this eternal cycle of rebirth and suffering is complete detachment from oneself. If you can completely be detached, self-effacement, you move beyond the cycle. You never reborn. Right? That's the ideal. Yeah. Yeah. If you are, you detach yourself so completely from this world that you are now moved beyond the cycle of life and death, and you no longer you are in what they call nirvana, right? Satori, nirvana, whatever the phrase is. You're in a state of enlightenment, and so you're beyond everything, right? So that's why Buddha is always relaxed. See the picture of Buddha always relaxed, serene. You go to Christianity coming out of Judaism, suffering, God suffers for the human being. That's Jesus. That's how the Christians interpret it. And in his suffering redeems the world. That is the Christian take. Now, I'm going to go at the end, I'm going to show you how there's a Jewish response to this in chapter 53 of Isaiah, and sum up with that. And we'll look at now Jewish approaches, biblical, classical biblical. There's the Torah, basically 5 books of Moses and the prophets. There is reward and punishment. You do right, you live. You do badly, you die. Not necessarily the individual, but the nation. We're in a collective together. And when the nation stinks, it's punished. When the nation does right, it's rewarded. This is the basis, the biblical basis. The prophets, the prophets, the proverbs, right? God protects those who are righteous. Proverbs, good and righteous actions lead to well-being, evil leads to destruction. But even in the Bible, everybody disagrees. Everybody disagrees. That's Jewish. So we have in the Bible, Lamentations, we're going to read tonight, Echa, God is a bear that has attacked me suddenly. The bear is lying in wait for me. The punishment is greater than the guilt. And then we have acceptance. I gave my cheek to the one who has struck me. That's not from Jesus. That's here Jeremiah or Echa, Lamentations. Right? I accept the pain. I got it coming to me. I have to straighten it out. Right? And then reconciliation, the very last line, which gives it its function. Return to me, bring us back, and we can return to you. That reconciliation. So we accept, we change, there's a reconciliation. That's Lamentations. Then there is Kohelet, which is the great disbeliever. Our sages decided that we should put an atheist in the Torah. What do you mean by an atheist? I mean, he knows there's a God, but God is mean, cruel, fickle, no function, no purpose. That's Kohelet, at least on the surface reading. And they put him in there. They put him in there because they want us to be exposed to prompt our thinking. And so he says, then I said in my heart, as it happens to the fool, so will happen even to me. Why then was I more wise? We're all going to go down. Same thing. And that too is a vanity. He says, well, who knows if the soul of a cow doesn't go up instead of my soul going down? Who knows? Right? Very, very skeptical. Right? And so I hated life, because if you no longer have faith, I hated life. Because all the work that's done under the sun is grievous to me. All is vanity and striving, right? Hevel havalim, verut ruach, empty wind, chasing after useless. Right? How they stick it into the Bible? Because the very line says, of making many books there is no end, and the words of the wise are as goads to prod us into thinking. I just have an easy life. If I just accept everything as it is, I'm not going to move. So I put something in here to poke you, to make you aware. Stroke of J. Now we have Eov. Okay, Job. So I'm going to go through a little bit here, little artwork here, illustration, etching of Job and his three friends. We discover the friends. The friends you think you can count on, you can't count on. Instead of making you feel better, make you feel worse. That's Job's problem. Okay, so very interesting that Job is described in the introduction not as a Jew, it would seem. He's from a land of Uz. That's Uz, which is Edom. It's the enemy. But that doesn't matter in this story because they pick on Job intentionally. Remove him from any particular identification, at least in the story. Now, the rabbis come to the decision that Job never was and never existed. He's only a metaphor. He's only created as an idea, not as a human being who actually went through the sufferings. But there's also a hint in this, in the very end, that maybe Job, rather than just being generic humanity, is actually the Jewish people. And there's one line that at least the editor puts the final edit, had this in mind. So we go to Job, a perfect, upright person, feared God as should be. Not a Hebrew. You don't have to be a Hebrew. You don't have to have the Torah to be an upright person, be loved by God. Sons and daughters. And the introduction is a very playful one. Right? God and Satan, the angels are gathering around, and God says, Satan, where are you going? Where have you been? And he says, around the earth, walking up and down. And look at my servant Job. Nobody's like him on the earth. Perfect, upright man, fears God. Perfect guy. And Satan says, does Job fear God for no reason? Oh, you made him wealthy. You made him happy, successful. Of course he loves you. But just take away what he's got, and he'll curse you to your face. Now, Satan in the Bible is an attorney. That doesn't mean that attorneys are Satanists. It is that the word Satan means is a thing, and it's accusing attorney. That's his job. He's the accusing attorney, the prosecuting attorney. That's his job, prosecuting attorney. He wants the truth. That's his job. So God says, okay, you got him. You got Job. Just don't kill him. Don't touch him. Okay. And so everything goes down south, goes down for Job. He does not sin. He doesn't accuse God. He accepts it. So Satan comes back and says, big deal, God. Yeah, he's still healthy. Of course, he figures it'll come back. Well, now, skin for skin, all the man has he'll give for his life. But now just touch his bone and his flesh and see he'll curse you to your face. All right? Just try him. Just try him. All right? That's a playful introduction, a rather weird introduction in some ways. But it is remember, this is a setup to allow us to get into the story. The beginning and the end are the envelope to have the story as the excuse. So Satan goes forth, smotes Jacob with sore boils from the sole of his feet to his crown. So he's aching all over. His body's full of pus and aching. And so his wife, his faithful and loyal wife, says, okay, Job, just curse God, God will strike you dead, and that's the end of your suffering. Push yourself out of your misery. And he says, you speak as a foolish woman. What? Can we receive good at the hand of God and not also accept evil? And Job did not sin. In Jewish law, a person is obliged to make a blessing on bad as on good. The idea being that ultimately all that happens comes from God, and we're able to accept it, we can deal with it. Acceptance. So that's what Job says. Then his friends come, really good friends. He's in mourning because he's lost his kids, he's lost his children, whatever, the whole thing. And they come to mourn with him and comfort him, and they sit with him for 7 days. Shiva. They sit Shiva with him 7 days, and they don't talk. And that is basically one of the rules of Shiva, is that you don't, at least in the beginning, you don't directly talk to the mourner. You wait till the mourner talks. You let the mourner talk when he's ready, or she's ready. So that's an old Jewish custom. You can see it goes back to the story of Job. Well, now he's beginning really to complain. but not against God, but just about his pain and his suffering, let that they perish where I was born. Let that they be darkness, let God not regard it from above. He doesn't blame God, he just doesn't want to be alive. So now they turn him around. One, Eliphaz says, remember, I pray, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Bible says, you're guilty, you suffer. Never happened otherwise. And I was seeking to God, and unto God would I commit my cause. God, admit your sins, and then everything will be good. Second one comes on and says, if you were pure and upright, surely he would awake for thee and make the habitation of the righteousness prosper. You are not so good. You know, this great Job, you really weren't good inside. You had bad thoughts, you had bad intentions, whatever, something is wrong. But if you will just admit it, then your latter end would increase. Okay, just admit that you did something wrong. Admit that you had a bad thought. Admit that you said something, you sent a tweet that was nasty to somebody. You put a post on Facebook. Admit it that it hurt somebody. Just do that, everything will be all right. And Job goes and protests again. Now, it's you all liars, forgers of lies, physicians of no value. And then he goes on and insists that he is honest, righteous. But as long as my breath is with me, and the Spirit of God in my nostrils, my lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue ever deceit. I will not confess to evil that I have not done. Right? What happens in a lot of court cases, prosecuting attorneys, you know this, come to the defendant and say, okay, if you confess to the crime, then we will shorten the sentence, like give you parole and so on, just confess to the crime. Very often, the accused confesses to the crime, knowing or thinking that if he doesn't, he's going to be in court, and in court he doesn't have a chance because he doesn't have witnesses, he doesn't have an attorney who will defend him and so on. Just confess. That's Job. Prosecute his own friends. Finally, another friend comes in. So Elihu, and surely God will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. But you have fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold, and you must be very wicked. There is wrath. And great ransom cannot deliver thee. Wow, because your pain is so, you must really be wicked. You must be at the core a rotten person. So then God has enough of it. He comes out of the whirlwind. We translate as whirlwind, the Hebrew word se'ara, a storm. It's spelled with the samach se'ara. The rabbinic midrash reads it with a sin, the letter sin, se'ara, out of a hair. Out of nothing, God appears. Right? Either way. So now, he looks at all of them and says, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? And all of these wise men know nothing. Then he says, shall he that contended with the Almighty instruct him? Job, you're going to teach me? And Job says, no, in that sense, no, I'm going to keep quiet. I've almost broken my bounds. I've almost turned on you, but I'm stopped. No, I will not answer. Proceed. Then God answers and says, gird up thy loins like a man. He says it twice. Take it like a man. Gird up thy loins like a man. I will demand of thee in plenty. Would you disannul my judgment? Would you condemn me that you be righteous? Huh? You're going to use your suffering to accuse me? To make yourself righteous? And then he says, and further, he says, no, go ahead, deck yourself with majesty next. It's an interesting concept. You're in the middle of your suffering. Pick yourself up. You don't have the millions of dollars. Your body is rotten and worn out already. Emotionally, though, you have not been destroyed. Pull yourself up. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold everyone that is proud and obeys him. Look on everyone that is proud, bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, bind their face in secret. And then out of confess unto thee thy own right hand can save. Interesting line. Job, don't wait for me. You shall do it. He's empowering Job to pull out of his misery, to pull himself out. Don't listen to your friends. You pull yourself out of your misery. And then he turns against his friends, and he turns against them, and he says, my wrath is against you. You have spoken of me things that are not right, as my servant has. And Job prays for his friends. God gives Job twice of whatever he had lost. And the wording is very interesting there. Look at this line 10. And Job turned the captivity. Lord turned the captivity of Job. What's the captivity of Job? Captivity. Shvut Yaakov. Shvut Iyov. Shvut means that you've been taken into exile. So wait, I don't know if I'm the first commentator to think of it. I'm sure others thought of it before. But I realize that here, this is the editor tying something in. The word Shvut is used for the exile of the Jewish people. Shvut Yaakov, the exile of Jacob. Echa is about exile. Nebuchadnezzar is about exile. The whole history of the Jewish people till 1948 is exile. Shvut, he returns the Shvut, he returns the Snah. So there's some connection in here. So what does he do? He puts aside his anger and his bitterness, and his friends admit, and he prays for that. So, is it a message of despair or is it hope? So the world runs as it runs. It's a world of causality. Things happen. There's war, there's virus, there's earthquakes. But behind it is the presence of God. So the presence of an entity beyond all comprehension, and yet present, not absent from the human. But that is, we live in a world that's much greater. And in that, Job finds his answer. Now, it is very universal, because that is intended for all people. It's also very Jewish, as I say, this which makes it tie in to the Jewish people. So, and how is it? Where's that connection? So I mentioned about the Christians and Jesus dying for our sins. There's a chapter in Isaiah, and that's what I'm going to wrap up with. It's called the suffering servant, as that's usually referred to in English. Chapter 53. The term is used in some other places. Eved Hashem, the servant of God. And it may be Isaiah referring to himself. It may be Isaiah looking at the teachers of Israel who have suffered for their own people. But it's also readable as the entire Jewish people. And he uses it in many different ways. And the rabbis want to see it as a moral to the Jewish people. What does it see? We now have an exposition of the purpose of the Jewish people, who have, like Job, been suffering far more than their crimes. Not that we ever claimed that we were perfect. Job's case is perfect. Well, we got it coming to us, but far more than we deserve. Why? So we go to Isaiah 53, and I'm going to just pull out a few verses. Nivze v'chadal yishim, ish machovot yadu choli. He was despised, shunned by men, a man of suffering, familiar with disease. As one who hid his face from us, he was despised. We held him of no account. Poor sick man. Must be evil. We hold him of no account. And yet it was our sickness that he was bearing, our suffering that he endured. We counted him plagued, smitten, and afflicted by God. But he was wounded because of our sins, crushed because of our iniquities. He bore the chastisements that made us whole, and by his bruises we were healed. You see how the Christians read it as Jesus. It's very easy to read it that way. Isaiah is reading it as himself, or the teachers of the people of Israel, who were despised by the people of Israel. They couldn't take the truth. But as the rabbis read it, it's the Jewish people themselves who have a function in the world. Now, we all went astray like sheep, each going his own way, and the Lord visited upon him the guilt of all of us. He was maltreated, yet he was submissive. He did not open his mouth, like a sheep being led to slaughter, like a ewe dumb before those who shear him. He did not open his mouth. Right? It's not the accusation of Jews going to the gas chambers. It's from here. It's from here. We were beaten, trodden upon. And we did not raise ourselves up against the conquering powers. We're the ultimate colonized people. And by oppressive judgment, he was taken away. Who would describe his abode? For his cut off from the land of the living. Through the sin of my people deserve the punishment. You can see how it is talking about the prophet himself, but the rabbis turned it to the entire Jewish people. His grave set among the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had no injustice and spoke no falsehood. The Lord chose to crush him by disease. See this Job also. He made himself an offering for guilt, he might see offspring and have long life. And through him the Lord's purpose might prosper. That in his suffering, the purpose of his being there is found. Out of his anguish he shall see it. Like Job, out of his anguish and suffering, he shall see it. He'll stand up, gird himself, wrap himself in righteousness. He shall enjoy to the full through his devotion. My righteous servant makes the many righteous. It's their punishment he bears. Right? So in his actions, he lifts up others. So I will give him the many as his portion, receive the multitude as his spoil. He exposed himself to death, numbered among the sinners, whereas he bore the guilt of the many and made intercession for sinners. Right. So we have in here what Christians read as the purpose of Jesus, what we read as the purpose of the Jewish people. There actually were some Catholic theologians who looked at the Holocaust and said, the Jews bore our sins. We're not excited about that interpretation. We don't want to carry anybody's sins. But you can see how we can turn around our suffering, whether it's as individuals or as a people, and say, what can we take out of it? Turn around, give ourselves a goal, give ourselves a purpose so we can lift ourselves up. And in the process, lift others with us. That is the story of Tisha B Av and story of. So now I'm going to go ahead. Yeah.
See, in today's world, particularly for the younger generation, how do you explain this practically in today's world? That how come in all these sufferings that other nations, destruction, whatever, romance, really, how come they don't fast? They don't even remember in today's world. How come that they don't have something like Tisha B Av? How could we address that? For the younger generation, a lot of them say, oh, something happened 2,000 years ago, destruction. Why should I fast now? Why should I even remember? That's a great question. Where is the answer? Where is the answer? I have one answer for myself, which I want to share, and that is the fact that there is a story they didn't do. One night, it was a Tisha B Av night, like tonight. Napoleon Bonaparte, he was watching. You see, in those days, they wore different dresses. He was walking with his entourage in one of the streets of Paris or whatever. He notices that there is a voice coming, Echad. People are crying. He says, what's happening? Who are these people? They answer, Your Honor, sir, they are remembering what happened to them 1,000 or whatever years ago. And that is why they are gathering tonight and reading their thoughts and whatever. You know what was his answer? His answer is that this nation, these people will never die, will never vanish, disappear, because of that very fact that they remember remembrance. That is the answer that I've given to many people who ask me during this week, that why we remember, why we fast. That is the answer.
Very good. Very good. Very good. What's very painful is I look at the survey that came out recently, And it said that 20% of American Jews believe the statement that Israel is a genocidal country. And apartheid, and genocide is worse, even than apartheid. That we do what the Nazis did. And it's our people, 20%. It's predominantly among the younger ones. I said, how is it that our young people have gotten so far that they have gotten so caught up in this desire? We want to be the righteous best of everybody. So if in Israel they're defending themselves, we want to believe they're killing for nothing. So that on Twitter and on Facebook and on all these other accounts, everybody else will give me likes, so that when I'm in these woke groups, I'm going to be applauded too. It's horrible. Horrible. I'm not sure if it's really 20%. One of the theories is that most of them even know what genocide means anymore. Genocide means just being tough on people. Or apartheid, they don't really know what apartheid means. So it's a crime of ignorance. That's giving them benefit of the doubt. I'm afraid it's the crime of identifying with everybody else at the expense of your own people, like the Yevseksia. I keep on thinking back to it, in the early Soviet Union, a century ago. The Jewish section that took down Jews intentionally. They wanted their position in the party, and then they were liquidated when they were no longer useful for the party. Or like in Poland, when after World War II, Jews that survived were active in the communist government, and then the communist government in Poland took a look and said, it's not good for us, in the eyes of the Poles, to have Jews visible, kicked out the known Jews from Poland. It was like 1958, something like that. Gomulka, I think. Right? I said, you want to be in with the right people, be righteous, you're better than everybody. And what happens in the end? Very, very painful, very, very painful thought. Now, the good side is still 80% don't believe it. Generally, few polls showed that again, preponderance of Jews believe in Israel, believe in a link to Israel and so on, but I'm very much afraid for this younger generation. And that includes kids who've gotten Jewish educations and so on.
The problem I find that people use words which probably have the meaning of some kind of whole, but now doesn't have a clear meaning. So they use the word, but not necessarily the meaning of the word. So it should be present to other people or the Jews that think that we are apartheid. What is the definition of apartheid that they have?
So it's an apology. It's an apology to put our scoundrels, our young scoundrels, in a better light. That I hate to say. That's what it sounds like. That they judge without knowing what they're judging. That they jump to judge and condemn without knowing what they're condemning. And that includes people who should know better. Peter Feinberg, some of these great intellectuals should know better. All right, yeah, like everybody knows, the new thing is Jewish supremacy. Oh, so they caught on to it. We've got white supremacy, now we're using the term Jewish supremacy. All of a sudden, that's an in term coming in. Israel is practicing Jewish supremacy. Wait a minute, isn't Iran an Islamic state by constitution? Isn't Saudi Arabia an Islamic state by constitution? Isn't Japan a Japanese state by birth, by constitution? Isn't China a Chinese ethnic state by constitution? But only Israel, the only Jewish state, is not allowed to be a Jewish state by constitution. You realize the hypocrisy. Yeah. And our people are caught up in it.
But the United States is, because of the history, is different from most countries. Because there's no ethnicity.
That's right. Right. So the United States, right. The United States is not allowed to be an ethnic state. It's not allowed by constitution. Not an ethnic state and not a religious state. Now, one of the problems was in the founding that it became an ethnic state, and this problem, the problem of slavery. And that is no longer legal, no longer constitutional. The government uses ethnicity as a way to maybe hand out benefits, but maybe in some ways it becomes dangerous because it splits us up. That's a big danger that we have. But officially, there's no ethnicity in the United States. It's not supposed to be. England is a religious state. The United States under the Queen. The Queen is the head of the church. Is the United States in opposition to England? No. Most of the European states are Christian states by constitution still. We don't have a fight with them. All the Muslim states have a constitution, Muslim states also. Right. Right. So apartheid meant that, right. Yeah, apartheid meant a complete separation of the whites, which were English and Dutch, Africans, which were Bantu and Zulu and some other nations, and then the Indian is a third entity. The Indians from India is a third entity, and each one was in his silo, worked with each other as was needed, primarily, which meant that the African worked as a slave to the white, was paid, but in that category, very few rights, and restricted in residence. In Israel, we distinguish from Gaza and the West Bank because they wanted separate states, which we agreed to after they rejected it, but they wanted. So they have separate entities because they want it. And then inside Israel, Arabs and Jews live. Now, some places are all Jews, some places are all Arab, some places are mixed. Right? Right. Is it perfect? No. Can you find me a perfect country? No. You like Cuba? Perfect country? Look what they're doing to the people now in the streets. Perfect country.
So the question is, what is the definition of apartheid that these people are talking?
They think it is, that Jews are excluding Arabs from all elements of life and ruling over Arabs and ruling over everybody else. Yeah. And it's a racist white, and they believe it's a racist white state. Jews are white, European colonizers. By the way, if you listen, last week there was a speech given by the foreign minister of the Palestinian Authority. So you think the guy's educated. And he says the Jews are not the Jews. They are white Europeans, descendants from the Khazars. It was about southern Russia, Turkey, in that area. He is saying that. There's not one bit. There was one Jewish writer who thought of that idea because he thought maybe he could end anti-Semitism by saying, look, we're not really Semites, we're really Europeans, you should love us. It was Arthur Koestler. But it's been denounced. DNA studies show Jews are Middle Easterners. You take the most blonde, blue-eyed Jew, and the DNA base is Middle Eastern. And you take a lot of Palestinians, and you find a lot of blonde hair, blue eyes from the British coming in there. So,
the definition that they use is better applied in Iran, in Jordan.
And he, who should know better, completely ignores that half of the Israeli Jewish population is from the Middle East. Ignores it intentionally. Yemen is not Europe. Iran is not Europe. Iraq is not Europe. Egypt is not Europe. Half of Israel. That's inconvenient. We don't want that out. We want you to know Jews are white European colonial settlers because that way, on the Court of International Affairs, we can condemn you. We can blame you for everything. Because you're the Ku Klux Klan.
Do you think it might be interesting to set some kind of discussion on this stuff?
I'm going to have, Richard Hirschfeld's going to be here in the end of August.
It's also important to get the opinion of some of the people who believe that the Jews are apartheid, so they think what
it was hard to get too many people. It's very difficult. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to get them in on this. But I got Richard Hirsch out, the American Jewish Committee. I have it to come, and he's going to be discussing. Yeah, they're fighting heavily on this. American Jewish Committee, but they're the big ones in the fight. The other big fight now is the teachers' union, coming up in September. Now, this proposition that Israel is an apartheid state, and so the teachers' union, UTLA, big proposal. Now, it was knocked out of the national, the two unions, so I don't remember which union was it. They knocked it out. Longshoremen's union, now in San Francisco, voting not to work with any Israeli ships. The unions that were always hand in hand with Jews are bought into this completely. We're not going to unload Israeli ships because they're apartheid state. Right? Union leadership. Where's our union leadership?
Well, I believe that because now the universities have accepted a lot of Islamic type of professors, that they have been shifting their opinion because of the militants of these professors.
Some of the influence.
We have not mounted a counter attack or a counter discussion because.
And the media is very quiet. They've been very slow. Your major media only now are beginning to discuss attacks on Jews in big cities. Only now because it doesn't fit their political narrative. CNN, MSNBC, New York Times. They've been hiding. Now they're forced to talk about it. Yes, slowly. Yeah. There was a big rally in Washington, D.C. last week. 3,000 showed up for the whole United States, and that's with all the organizations and stuff. It was embarrassing. It's embarrassing. They were asleep.
I think that dialogue is important now, and it would be nice that we can organize that either in Zoom or here, Zoom, because it's very relevant today.
Yeah.
And today
Yeah. My problem is that all my contacts and every outlet that I have are only if people agree with me. And I have no way to reach out to the ones who don't. They're not going online. They're not looking at my emails. They're not looking at my posts. So I can have a program, they're not there. The other organizations have a little bit better tools, a little better outreach. Yeah. And we need politicians. There's like this Richard Torres, who is on the left, right? I don't know, a strong defender of Israel. We need people like that who have credibility, street credibility to speak. I know there's work with them. There's a lot of work to be done. Yeah, we don't have the tools. We don't have the only people we can reach are our little crowd. That's our problem.
You have to work with a very wide political decisions, but it's a different situation because it depends on the political. This is really more racist. So anybody who is Jews, they're attacking the.
Judy, you want to say something? We're not a venue for him. We have to know, he's a major politician. He's running for re-election. He needs a venue where the people have millions of dollars. I think we have to be realistic. So Richard will come to us because he's very, very prominent in LA. He'll come to us because of the family connection. So that's, I have to know, that's the venue, who you can get. And that's really that's what controls things. Let's go ahead. We're going to wrap up the services now. Enke Eloheinu. Got a music piece for Enke Eloheinu. Let's go ahead. It's the next one. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. My great assistant here. Enke Eloheinu, page 508. Yeah, we'll wrap up our service. Now he's an adult, I think. Okay, let's go ahead with Aleinu, page 510. We're going to wrap up our service together. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol l'tegiru l'yotzei reshit shelo osanu pigoyei haratzot velo samanu mishpachot adama shelo sam helkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechahamonam ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומה שביקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים ואלוהינו אין עוד ממכנו וחסולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחתנו And we can do the last line together. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו So we come now to the Kaddish. We call those who passed away this year. Danielle Avidan.
Yes, I would like to say Kaddish for the soul of one of my best friends, Emily Fox, whose daughter was unfortunately struck by a drunk driver on after the 4th of July, Monday, early, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So she was buried yesterday in Silmar, in a beautiful cemetery. And that's all I can say about it. We're all very, very sad.
Very, very sad, very sad.
She was 47 years old.
47, any age is no good, but
Yeah.
younger.
Her mother was devastated.
Yeah. Rachel.
Bat Paul, and I couldn't get the Jewish name. Apparently, her dad didn't have a Jewish name.
Oh, may her memory.
It was Saul Bernard Fox, the father, and the mother, Emily Fox.
May her memory be for a blessing. We had Harry Kyle, Jack Petsko, Lane Goldsmith, and Irma Smith, mother Margaret Sadok, and her sister Dvora, and brother Chaim, and Dr. Norman's mother, Ilanit Bat Yitzchak, and Rachel Melman. And also this week, Martin Cohen, their old cantor, Martin Cohen. And the yard says this week, Golda Top Kreeman and Davis Wenkert and Rachel, your mother, Rebecca Larea. Yeah. And we have her picture here, if you can see it on the screen. And Rachel, you are sponsoring the lunch this Shabbat in memory of your mother. Yeah. So we thank you. Thank you very much. And let's all recite them. The Kaddish is found on page 512. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yama, Dibra, Chirutei, Yamlich, Motei, B'chayachon, V'yamechon, B'chayei, L'chol, Beit Yisrael, Mag Alal, Kari, Yehi, Shmei, Rabbon, Borach, D'olam, Omer Maya, Yiborach, V'yishtabach, V'yitma'ah, V'yitramah, V'yitnaseh, V'yithada, V'yithale, V'yithalal, Shmei D'kucha, Berichu, Le'ela, Min Kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tush B'chata, V'nechemata, D'ayom B'yama, B'imru Amen, Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, B'chayim Aleinu, V'akol Yisrael B'imru Amen, Ose Shalom B'imramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'akol Yisrael B'imru Amen. He makes peace in the heavens above and peace